All right. I am here with my friend Lyndsay Chollak, and Lyndsay is a mindset coach, and she works with specifically with female entrepreneurs. Lyndsay, welcome. I'm so happy to have you here.
Thank you for having me. So nice to be here.
Yes, it's great. So before we kind of get into things, I like to start with sort of a speed round of fun questions to loosen things up and a chance for people to get to know you as well. So first thing that comes to mind on each question. You ready?
Sounds good. Let's do it.
So I don't like the word bucket list. I kind of like the word life list. And I'm curious if there is one thing that's on your life list that you really want to do this lifetime.
Oh, one thing I really want to do in this lifetime. Melanie, there's so many. Why? Why? I would love to go on a honeymoon with my husband. We didn't get to because we were running a yoga studio. And we got married in Mexico, so we thought we would kind of try and integrate a honeymoon, but we specifically never went on a honeymoon. And when we first got together, we had said to each other, what's one magical place that you want to visit? We both said French Polynesia. So that would be on my life list. So terrible.
No, I love that.
Go on a honeymoon for my life list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. I love that. Okay. What's the best advice you've ever received?
It's the best advice that I've ever received. Oh, these are so good. Oh, I feel like I've had so many. One that sticks out the most. I've said this many times before, but the darkest place is underneath the lamp. Would have to be my favorite because it reminds me to kind of stop what I'm doing if I'm stressing, if I'm resisting, and take a step back and look at things from a different perspective. And I find whenever I do that, whenever I coach my clients to do that, it initiates lightness energetically and physically. And then you feel like you have this natural confidence that comes out, and you're willing to see things in a different light, in a different perspective. And it just shifts things so fast, I find.
Yeah. I love that. It's a very deep quote. Like, it's one of the ones that I'll have to after we finish with this, I'll have to really break it down because it's it gets you thinking,
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, I love it. That's great. Okay. So let's say you're having a dinner party and you can have 3 people, any 3 people you want. They can be dead, alive, anyone you want. Who would you want?
One of them would be Joseph Murphy. Mm-hmm. And he is, he wrote the book, The Power of the Subconscious, and a bunch of other books on manifesting, right? But you can listen to his stuff on YouTube, but a lot of his stuff is just very cut and dry, very simple. Some of it's very complicated, but his Irish accent and just his wisdom and his aura of knowingness is just really empowering. I'd want to be in that environment. Mm-hmm. One of my favorite people on the planet is Lady Gaga. I think she's just such a magnificent soul and energy, and she's gloriously talented, and she's open and willing to be honest and vulnerable, and I really respect that. Mm-hmm. And the third person, all these names and faces are flashing through my head, and I'm like, nope.
Swipe right.
I know. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Yeah, totally. I mean, even though I've met him before and I had the opportunity to actually sit down and chat with him, it would have to be Wayne Dyer. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love listening to him.
Yeah.
That would be a very interesting conversation between those 3.
Yes, it would be. How inspiring, and to learn something, and just to be among people who are sort of masters in their own genre,
Totally.
Yeah, that's great.
I would just be like,
Yeah.
the
Teach
whole
me,
time.
teach me.
Teach me everything. I would just be looking like a 5-year-old with like wide eyes, just looking at candy. That's what it would be for me.
That's great. That's great. Okay. I'm always curious what people do, like if there's a ritual, like if it's a morning ritual, afternoon ritual. Do you have any rituals that you like must do every day?
Journaling.
Mm. And is it just regular journaling, or is it a specific kind of journaling, or?
I have a few ways that I like to journal. One in particular is I like to do kind of, I don't think it's a thing, but I kind of made it up. It's mantra journaling. So it's like a couple of words, a very small phrase that I write over and over and over again until it fills a few pages, until I'm really embodying it. Like, for example, just something as simple as like, thank you,
Mm-hmm.
you know, until the brain fog, until the 10,000 thoughts in my head in 1 minute kind of starts to disintegrate a bit. And then it's kind of like meditating. And I feel like some days I find it really, really hard to sit down and meditate, and it makes me more frustrated, and I have a hard time letting go. And so I feel like this is a very active way to tap into that brain space, peaceful space within your mind, and just, letting that go,
Mhm.
all the thoughts.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. That's awesome. And one question I always ask everyone is, what does the word intention mean to you?
Intention. Focus, drive, persistence, passion. I find like I just end up coming up with more words when you give me that word.
Yeah, I love that, because it's, to me, like intention is about like energy. And so I love that you're explaining it that way, because it's like all of those things are energy. So it's like this sort of infinite energy of like moving forward. Like,
Yes, absolutely.
that's great. Great.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you. That feels good. I like to kind of start things out that way. It gets things moving a bit. So I'd love for you just to explain briefly a little bit about what you do, and kind of how you got to where you are.
Mhm. So I call myself a mind mastery coach within, it's like, it's a mindset coach, but within mind mastery, I feel personally, you can't ever master it. So it's a process,
Mhm.
so I'm in the process, my clients are in the process, but I'm so knowledge hungry and brain efficiency hungry, um, strategies that get you from point A to point B as linearly as possible, just being extremely effective in how we use our minds. And so that's what I teach my clients. I love working with women who are overworked, who don't feel appreciated, who are scared to put themselves out there, put a price on their products or their services. And they're really, they know that it's out there for them. They know the abilities that they have, the capabilities that they have. They believe that they are going to reach absolute success. But it's just all these little tiny things, limiting beliefs, conditioning, whatever it might be, that are just like flicking them off their path and getting them discouraged, so that their journey is taking a lot longer than it needs to. So I like to cut that time down. I like to dig as deep as possible. I kind of like to say, in the most loving way possible, I like to break my clients down and build them back up. So I like to find all the dark recesses of our mind and our beliefs and our fears, and really hold it up to the light and say, is this really a fear?
Mhm.
And then we go through a process, and at the end they're like, no, that's not a fear. It's just, an excuse. And then we break it down so that it doesn't have as much weight and as much validity, that it's just so light and so unnecessary on their journey, that they're like, it's a lot about perception shifts, shifting perception like massively with just like little tiny things. I love that, because I believe that it's the little tiny shifts that make massive monumental change.
Totally. And that's the thing, like if with mindset work, you know, when we're in it and we have a belief that's limiting us, we genuinely believe that it is so real and it's so huge, when in reality, it's really a simple, small change. But when we're in it, we can't see it. And that's why I think it's so instrumental to have people like you, where this is the work that you're doing, like where, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like someone can come to you and work on those beliefs in a very short amount of time because they're really not that big. We've made up the stories. And I think the more we go on making up these stories, the bigger they get, versus saying, let me work on this mindset. Like, let me work with someone who can help me take those baby steps.
Totally. Totally. And I just recently had a client where she was doing all the work, and there was, you know, I do a private coaching program, but within it, you know, there's videos and modules and all those fun things. And then we work on what we go through in those videos together and whatever else we need to. But anyway, she was saying that she's avoiding this one section because she's scared of what she's going to find. And I said, that is so beautiful. That is such a brilliant realization. And so now let's work with the surface level of the feelings that you're feeling. And then we'll slowly start to go down and slowly go, when she's ready, get down deeper and deeper and deeper until we find out what she's actually afraid of. And for some people, they're like, yeah, let's dive in, I'm ready. And other people are like, yeah, let's do this. And then they're like, wait, I'm really scared. I don't know what to do. And then that's what I'm there for, you know, to be able to hold their hand and gently guide them through. Some people want to be dragged through, and I'm happy to do that as well. Like, just drag me through, just take me through. I'm ready. I'm surrendering to it all, you know.
Well, you know, and I think that sometimes, I'm curious your thoughts on this, because I know for me in my own life, like I can see how there are certain stories that are beliefs that have been with me for so long, there's almost a level of comfort in them.
Yes.
And so, right. So when someone is like taking that away, again, we're perceiving that it's like, oh my gosh, like this is so scary. But so it's hard. It's much, I think, especially the ones that have been with us, I know for myself, for a long period of time, the more, you know, slowly that I'm willing to enter into that and like even just acknowledge it, work through it and clear it, you know, because it's been there for maybe over 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Because what ends up happening is it is your identity.
Yes.
And to get rid of it, it's like literally cutting off your writing hand. You know, like it's so intense to even think, like, you want to let it go with all your heart, with all your soul, but there's a huge energetic line that just like sucks the life out of you because you still attach yourself to it. And it just like, I can see this like this dark energy channel from you to this thing, your story, your belief, which is now your identity. And it just like, it pulsates and pulls everything out of you and keeps you right where you are. You know,
that's intense.
And it's all made up in our brains.
Yes.
That's what's so crazy and so amazing at the same time.
I love that you said that, because that's my thing. It's like that's actually the privilege. Like when I work with clients around the thoughts, it's like, yes, we have these thoughts. The great thing about being human is we can simply work on changing those thoughts, and then our reality will change. So it's kind of like, I think if we look at it in the rightness, like it's like, okay, I can see where this has limited me, but hey, guess what? We can change that. And if I feel like I can't, we've got people like you, you know, we've got experts who can sort of help us along the way.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. I love that. I love that. So I know one of the things that you've been working on, and I think it's something you're probably going to be talking about, especially in the new year, is around manifesting. And you sort of have this unique way that you're teaching people on how to manifest. And so I'd love for you to like share a little bit about how we can, what that is, and then how we can use that.
Yes, totally. So I drank the Kool-Aid of The Secret when it first came out, like full on, like pictures of Kool-Aid of The Secret. I was all over it. And then I got to a place, like, and I was manifesting stuff like nobody's, like insane, huge, like physically huge things, which was awesome. Like hundreds of thousands of dollars, the
Nice.
right business part, like it was insane. And I was like, no, this is the way it is. It's gotta go. And then things in my like brick and mortar business started to not be so good. And I started to, instead of making it a story and a belief, it instantly went to identity. Like I instantly, it was like, this is a reality now and I'm terrified. And then I was like, this manifesting stuff is total BS. It doesn't work. But I was not in the right state of mind at all. And so I've been studying it heavily for the past 2 years, like books and books and books on it. And so I've discovered this new way of looking at manifesting, because you know how everyone says, Goddard, what's his name? His first name. There's one gentleman back in, long time ago, maybe he was the 30s or 40s, probably even earlier, but he kind of started the idea, Neville Goddard, I think is his name. How you have to believe that as if whatever you're manifesting, whatever you're desiring, has already come to fruition. And so I was trying to do that, but there was a part of my brain that was like, that's bullshit. No, that's not true. Like, you know, I make X amount of dollars each month, you know, clients throw themselves at me and all these things. But there was a part of a limiting belief that just cut that off at the knees completely. And so I've discovered this new way of doing manifesting, which I'm going to be doing a webinar on in the new year, because everybody's got to know about this. It's brilliant. So I'm grateful that you're asking me about it. So instead of thinking as if it's already happened, which your ego can come in and decimate it, and then that leaves you to believe you have so much more, many more limiting beliefs that you have to work through, that you have to journal on, that you have to read more books on. And it's like heavy, 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 right? And all of this manifesting stuff can be easy, can be fun, can be flowy, can be light. And so thinking, instead of just thinking from the end, but thinking as if it's a memory, is 10 times more powerful, because then your ego can't come in and cut it off at the knees and say, no, that's bullshit, because it's already happened. So if you're thinking, I remember, and so I have a journal that I use for my memories. And so, which are manifestations. And so instead of like, I have da 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 da, I remember the day that this event happened, and see then all the little intricate details of how you have to manifest to make it work jumps in. Feeling, you know, that feeling, and letting it go, because it's already happened. You can let it go, because you know that whole idea, you know, pick what you desire, feel as if it's happened, and let it go.
Yeah.
I had a really hard time with that, because I was like, okay, but I'm still going to think about it because I still want it. And if I want it, then I'm creating resistance. Then it's not going to happen because I'm not in alignment with, you know, the energy of what I'm trying to manifest. And so then all these like doubts started just like flooding in. But if you think of it as a memory, it's fun, it's flowy, you're at a high vibe, you're in alignment with it because it happened. And you can, I remember when this thing that I wanted so bad happened.
So I have a question about that, because I do something, but not like that. I'm actually going to shift it, because I totally hear what you're saying. So I had a teacher once tell me, I do something called scripting, which is a little bit similar, but it's not, I'm not using the word like I remember. It's more like it's writing about yourself, like it's a movie script. So like, you know, Melanie had da 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 da, like, you know, like, and so you're writing about it in the past tense. And I'm just wondering, is there, are there similarities there that you can speak to, or is it really good to write like, I remember when? There's something about the I remember when that for me makes it really, really tangible.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like, I'm like, I remember, like I'm telling you, like I could be saying, I remember when I went on that trip. Like it feels real versus saying Melanie went on a trip to wherever, like it
Mhm.
feels different in my body.
Right, right. Because you're writing it in the third person. And if you're writing a movie script, like I get it, because I teach NLP strategies and techniques to all my clients, and you put that up on the movie screen, right? And you're watching it, or maybe you're jumping into first person on the movie screen. But I find when you do this remembering technique, you are in it instantly. You are embodying it. You are feeling it. And I mean, like, the thing too with memories is that sometimes we forget the intricate details and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but we remember how we felt about it.
Mm.
We remember the certain events that took place that facilitated the feelings behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's almost as if you're doing the whole, the way that they talk about in The Secret, manifesting backwards. You're letting go first because it's hard. The good stuff has already happened. It's already happened, right?
Yeah.
And then feeling all the feelings. What is it? Ask, believe, receive, right? That's what it is.
Right.
So receiving, there's that part of letting go, right? Receive, I remember, I have received it clearly. Believe, all the feelings, all the feels, right?
Mm-hmm.
And asking, you don't even really have to ask.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know?
I love this.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing. Because I have one of my mentors, she's like money manifesting queen, and I love her energy, and she is absolutely glorious. And I like listening to her because she puts me in a good mood, because she just she knows this is the way it is for her, and she believes with all her heart, with every fiber in her being, that this is a possibility for everyone else. So I love being in that energy. But she talks about being acting from the end as if you already have it. And I'm like, okay, I can do that. If she can do it, I can do it. If she can do it, I can do it. But then so many doubts come in and all these other junky junk things. But remembering, I feel like I can really step into that role so much easier than trying to create something out of nothing. It feels like it's creating something out of nothing, but remembering your memories is much different. Yeah.
I actually, now that you're talking about this, I remember years and years ago hearing somebody, and I don't remember who it was, but it was someone, they were talking about how what they did was they took a friend and they went somewhere, and they'd meet up on the beach, or they'd meet up somewhere, and basically it would be like, oh my God, Lyndsay, do you remember that time when your business broke the 8-figure mark? Like so you're saying it like that, and then the other person's adding energy, like, oh my gosh, yes. Do you remember the trip then you took to Bali or to Indonesia? You know what I'm saying? All these places that you went, you took your team, and so you played on each other. And I remember hearing that, and it resonated with me then. And for some reason, I never did it. And so now you're saying this now, there's something here, because I always look at whenever somebody says something to me and I feel it in my body, I know like there's something there, right? Like it landed. And so, okay. So in this, for your technique, it's about writing it. Like you're writing it down.
Well, I also step into visualizing it before I go to bed, because as I've done all my research, which never ends, about how to manifest and how to tap into your subconscious, because I like the woo-woo, I like the spiritual and the science. I like to combine those two things together. I think it satisfies my Gemini-ness. So before you go to bed, when you are in a very deep state of relaxation, almost about to go to sleep, is where you can jump into your subconscious and reprogram it. And so that's also when I like to do it as well. And then I find myself, I'm like laying on my pillow, and I have this like huge grin on my face. I'm like, I'm smiling right now for no reason. It's awesome for all the reasons, And it's interesting because it's not interesting. It's amazing that the thoughts that you think, even if I'm in like a pitch black room in my bedroom going to bed, the thoughts that I think can bring joy to my physical self as well.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah. I'm curious. So what I believe, and the thing with scripting is I think that, the subconscious mind doesn't necessarily know the difference between the past, the present, and the future. So again, that's where we can sort of, if we have the tools to use that, we can actually create something different for our lives. Right. So that's what I love about it, is I think that there's a manipulation where it's like, this is what's happening. And then it's like, oh, this is where we're going. Right? Like you're just painting the picture and then you're allowing sort of the brain to follow. Would you agree with that? Or is there anything you would add to that?
Totally. So you have all these memories of what happened, your desire, and in reality, right? But then it's like, oh, okay, so now I need to remember how I got there. So, and then what this does is it initiates our creative mind.
Mm-hmm.
And when we live a life of feeling, especially as women, feeling very vulnerable, according to, oh my goodness, she's so brilliant. I love her with all my heart. She's got the power of vulnerability. What's her name? It's on the edge of my brain.
Brene Brown?
Yes. She was saying how we're, when we are constantly in a vulnerable position, our creativity and our imagination goes away. And so what this does is it has to fire up your imagination. So if you're turning up your imagination, your vulnerability is starting to go down a bit, right? Because it's like, you look at kids, they're full of imagination, vulnerability, that's out the window. They don't care. They're running around the house in their underwear, and this is just like the best thing ever, and they're like kicking things and laughing and screaming at the top of their lungs, and there's like just no filter. So the vulnerability turns down. What does that mean? The confidence jumps back in. The action jumps back in, right? So yeah, it's such a beautiful, beautiful process of manifesting. It's just like extraordinarily fun,
So I have a question. So the people that, and I would put myself in this as well. So like if we're wanting to create something and we're wanting to use this technique to manifest, and it's great in the moment. Okay, like I can play around, because I do think that's the thing. I think play around with it. Like I know with scripting, it's like keep writing until eventually it's going to land. And it may be like, this is ridiculous, just keep going. So I know that piece, right?
Yeah.
But for people that are having a little bit of trials in their life and challenges in their life, and things aren't necessarily going the way they want them to. And so then it feels almost really extreme. Like, could you talk a little bit to the person who's like, there's no way, like, I don't even have $100 in my bank account. Like, I'm stressed out. Like, you know what I'm saying? Who's really not able to kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah. What would you say to them?
That's really, really good question. So what I would say is, because you're so stuck in the past and the future, the guilt and the worry, you need to change your state so you can become more present and more grounded in this moment. And to change your state, you have to change your physiology and your focus. So I worked with I had my original coaching business was actually in health, nutrition, and emotional eating. And so, I mean, when I've got my clients who's like in the pantry, hand in the chips, they don't even know how they got there. It's like, change your state. Okay, focus, physiology. Take your hand out of the bag. Just do laps around the kitchen. Just do laps around the kitchen. Focus on something. Start putting plates away. Yeah. You just had to change your state. Focus and physiology, change them. Even if, like I've said in so many workshops, just get up, stand up, and just start walking around. Walk outside, walk to I don't care if it's -30, walk outside to the end of your driveway and come back. Change your state. Change your state. And realize that by doing so, you catapult yourself into the present moment. And when that doesn't work, because it doesn't work sometimes, right? It's one of the more powerful ways. But the feelings that we feel that overwhelm us, they keep coming back. right?
That's right.
And so the only way out is through.
Mm-hmm.
You have to walk through the door. You can't walk around the door because there's walls there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to do so, you have to sit in your feelings and you feel all the feelings. But the key here is do not think a thought. We think, what is it, 70,000 thoughts a day? So when anxiety, anger, frustration, guilt, sadness, apathy comes up, take it all in. Take it all in and feel where it is in your body. Okay, so I'm feeling really anxious right now. I feel it in the pit of my stomach. And then if thoughts try to creep in that attach themselves to you feeling anxious to make you more anxious, no, I'm focusing on my body right now. So, okay, so I have this feeling in the pit of my stomach, my heart's racing a little bit, and I just talk myself through it, and I've coached my clients to do the same. You talk yourself only through your physical body sensations of anxiety or whatever negative emotion you're facilitating. Do not let a thought come in. Because the more and more that you do this, you end up realizing it. Oh, it's anxiety. Okay. And then it leaves. The more you flex the muscle of feeling the feelings and not letting the thoughts come in, you can turn it off. But the thing, what do? We push them down, push them down, push them down.
Yeah. And we numb them out. Like I noticed that with myself. Like I'm so like, it's like, we're so quick to numb out things because we don't want to feel. But I love how you said it's just a feeling. Like I have one of my coaches says that all the time. Like it's just a feeling. Like it's not going to kill you, number one. And it's the more that you can sort of allow it and be with it, it's going to pass through. It's just a matter of like, I think that we're so conditioned, and this is a huge piece that I'm working on. We're so conditioned not to feel any pain, discomfort, or anything. We keep it away, and it's like, no, like what would it look like if we just allowed it, you know?
Exactly.
And I love it. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and that's how so many people are making money in whatever businesses they're in, because it's the short-term gratification.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
The junk food companies, they're so happy. Fast food restaurants, that's never going to go away, because why, unless you had the will and drive to up level in your life, why would you push, why would you feel the feelings if you can just reach outside of yourself and do something to numb it?
Totally.
Midlife crisis, buy a car.
Right.
Yeah,
totally. I love the other piece that you said, because it kind of tied back to the kids. I think you said change your state when you're in it, like do something to change your state. And I've had someone explain it to me this way, which I love this way, like going back to like children. If you think about, like you have kids, if you think about like your 3-year-old, she's having a tantrum and it's like, hey, look, there's a rainbow. Like you shift it, and then they're like, in the next moment, they're literally like, oh my God, it's a rainbow. It's beautiful. They've totally forgotten about the perceived problem. So, and that's inherent for all of us. I just think we, again, going back to where we started, these thoughts just feel so real. It feels so like it's right now. It's so real. But it's like, if we go back to our sort of inner child, it's like, no, they're not. Like just shift it and be like, oh, wow, look, off to the next thing,
Totally. Because kids are so present. But as we get older, we're taught how to hold on to it all for dear life. So for example, let's say you get into a fender bender and, you're worried about who's ever in the car with you. You're worried about the other person in the car, so on and so forth. You're going to carry that experience with you. And then what's going to happen is like about 40 minutes later, your adrenaline is going to start to go down. And for me, whenever that happens, I'm just a puddle of tears. But the thing is it ended 45 minutes ago. If everybody's okay, now it's like, now we exchange the insurances. We do the things. We talk to the police officers. Is our car okay? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's like, we live our life through stories. So it's a really good story to tell someone about later, right?
Yes.
We hold on until we identify on all these stories because we've been taught, and our society loves drama. We love the drama, right? So it's like, who can I call and get some attention and sympathy from for the way that I'm feeling, because I don't know how to deal with it on my own.
Absolutely. Well, it's like you're either at any given moment, we're in victim or creator. That's it. There's no in between. So, and that's why I like how this is coming back around, like to where it's like you can live in your stories, or you can say, what do I want to create? And then that's where it's like this remembering technique is something beautiful to start. You know what I'm saying? Like starting really small.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Tiny. Totally.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. So, okay. So tell me, so where can people find you and find out more about this? And we'll link to it as well.
Yes. Well, the place to go, the place that I love to hang out the most is in my Facebook group, is High Vibe Lady Boss. It's all the mindset, but you know, and it's the woo woo and the strategy. It's all, oh, sorry, that was my dog sneezing.
Oh, bless you.
Sounded like he exploded.
Yeah.
He's a big dog. But that's where I love to hang out the most.
You're so active there. That's such a gift to your people. And I want to say this real quick, that I think this is what makes you so unique, is that there's a lot of people who do like manifesting, and that's great. I mean, it's needed, right? And then there's a lot of people who do mindset, needed as well. But to me, if you can have one person, because we know that when we're really thinking big, and we're wanting to manifest, not just manifesting, you know, a little bit of money, or we want to manifest big things. What we know is that those thoughts are going to creep in. So having someone like you who really has this mindset piece, this mindset mastery, like to have both is such an amazing thing for people to experience. And then that's what I love about your Facebook group, because it's a way of you sharing this with anyone can join this, you know, and then of course, if they want to work with you, they can, but it's like, you're just very generous in everything you're teaching and offering.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. I have, I'm trying to encourage myself and all my clients, and I have to lead by example, right? There's a massive accountability. I put a lot of positive pressure on myself, choosing to lead by example, integrity, right? So showing up constantly is really important to me. Providing a space where people can go and just be a fly on the wall and just listen. And if I am able to share one thing that flips a switch, that's like, you know, it's not my job, my joy, it just adds on top of my joy of why I do what I do, you know.
And that's why I love these conversations and having people like you're one of the first ones that I thought of, because you can feel when people, like, a job is not a job. Like, it's like, this is your mission. This is your life's work. And I think that you can feel that on people. Like, it's like, you know, your why is so strong, why you do this, why, you know, you get up in the morning, and the impact that you're having, it's a result of that.
Yeah. Totally.
So,
totally.
And I know, and so tell me, what else is, like, what's new for you? Any courses? How can people work with you? You have the Facebook group, but are there any other ways that people can work with you, especially as we're going, and we'll launch this in the beginning of 2019, but really set themselves up strong for a really solid 2019?
Yeah. Well, I'm putting together a new coaching program. I usually do about 9 weeks, but I want to do like 3-month coaching program and a 6-month. I feel like there are so many shifts, and everybody needs a certain amount of time to go through those shifts and solidify their new level of being. And so I really like to water, so to speak, that state. And I feel like, you know, doing short little programs is great, is fun, but I feel like it's a flash in the pan. Like, I want this stuff to be like with you until the end of days that you have in this body, you know? So I feel like doing a little bit longer programs are better. So that's what I'm going to be opening up in the new year is 3 and 6 month one-on-one coaching programs. I love working one-on-one. I love getting to know, and it's so funny, this whole manifesting thing. I have my intention for my soulmate clients, right? My soul sisters, and they show up every single time. And it's so funny because in our first couple of coaching sessions, we always end up saying, we've known each other before, haven't we?
I love that.
Yeah, like seriously, 9 out of 10 clients, that's what we end up saying. And we all vibe at a brilliant level together. But I really find that the whole idea of a soulmate client, that's like a real thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I love that. So I want you to share, because I've actually heard people who do different rituals to call in people for their retreats or their clients. Is there something specific that you do, or is it just, you're just setting the intention that X amount of soulmate clients come in?
Yeah. Oh, well, I do a couple of things. I do kind of like, it's as if I'm watching a movie. So it's a little bit of an NLP technique. So it's like we should have another conversation, because I'd love to share with you this meditation my mom taught me when I was a kid. She called it the workshop. And she wouldn't give me a workshop in my mind until I was old enough to be able to appreciate it. But anyway, I do all these things in my workshop in my brain. And so I have a movie theater in my workshop. So sometimes I do it in that space where I see my potential client finding me online and being like, hell yeah, I'm giving her a call, or like messaging her or whatever. And just the joy and the connection and the energy and the sparks, like I see all that. But then I also, I do it from watching a movie of my clients coming to me. But sometimes I like to do it from the sense of just, I know this kind of sounds silly, but it's like I'm in this I love public speaking. So it's like I have a public speaking stage in my workshop where I go and I practice all my things for public speaking. But I have a public speaking event, and I imagine I remember everybody standing up and clapping and like standing ovation, which is pretty awesome. And I feel all the feels, and I like, it's not like I tell myself, okay, now this is where you cry. It's instantly like happens, like just like absolute humbleness. And then after, it's like people rush the stage, and they're just like, I have to work with you. I have to work with you.
Yeah.
So I like to play with it. Whatever, I know, I will always have the clients that I need, that I want, that I desire. There's always an abundance of soulmate clients who are already looking for me, and for me to constantly be giving in a place where people can see me, it's my job, it's my responsibility to constantly show up so they can find me.
Yes. Yes, I love that. That's beautiful. That's awesome. Thank you so much. That was helpful in and of itself. So, okay. So before we complete, you've shared so much. I feel like there's so many things that people are going to take away, and that they'll be able to use to really have an impactful, I'm looking at this like for the year. Like, what do you want to manifest this year? Like, what is your heart longing for this year, right? Like, so you've given so many different tools that people can use. I'm curious if there's one really simple way that you can pare it down, where literally someone like closes this video and they can do in the next hour, where they'll start to see a tangible like difference in their life.
Well, I know we talked about it at length, but the manifesting of remembering is like, literally you could do that in 5 minutes. You whatever See, this is also, this is a sneaky technique that I do to learn how my clients learn. So I pay attention to how they speak to me, and if they use the words of feeling, I feel, I sense, you know, then I'm like, okay, they're a kinesthetic learner. So I give them kinesthetic things to work on, touchy-feely things, emotional, you know, like more things like that. So they get the good juju, the good strategy imprinted deeper into them. If they're more auditory, I hear what you're saying, you know, things like that they'll say, and then, so I'll give them auditory things. So I encourage to all your listeners, your viewers, pay attention to how you learn.
That's great.
And then use this remembering manifesting technique based on that. So if you find that you love paper and pens, you're most likely a kinesthetic type of person. And so writing it might work really well for you.
So I'm curious, is that more, because kinesthetic is interesting, because that's more like, it's like, yeah, so like writing it, but like feeling it like in a visceral kind of way, right?
Yeah.
And then
for sure.
if you're auditory, you would, so just so I'm clear, so when you're writing, it would be, I remember, and I heard, like it would be a lot of like what you're hearing. And then
if it's auditory, it's like I hear what you're saying. I'm listening to that. You know, hearing is not a lot of people are auditory learners. It's actually,
yeah, see, I'm not at all. And so that's why I can't even formulate the words. Like I'm visual and kinesthetic. So I'm like, here, what is that? You know?
Right. Yeah. You just don't flow on that parallel line there I get it.
Yeah.
So what I would recommend for people who are more auditory is, write it out, say it into a voice recorder, and play it back all the time.
Oh, that's great. That's really good, Lyndsay. Okay. And then what about for visual? Because it's visual, audio, kinesthetic, right?
Yeah.
What about visual?
To do a visualization, like a meditation visualization kind of thing, or even draw it. And that's actually good for our kinesthetic peeps as well, because I am more kinesthetic. So I find drawing, I'm a horrible drawer. Like it's like stick people with eyelashes. I like eyelashes. So you know, I'll draw images and words around it, and and I found when I was drawing stuff, which is a great reminder for me, is I manifested my biggest stuff, because you always want to work in parallel with your strengths. And so this is something I coach my coaches too. The coaches, you know, who you know, love coaches, life coaches, health coaches, and
coaches. There's like a coach for everything.
Right. Yeah, there totally is. There totally is. So I really encourage, I lost my train of thought and jumped onto another one.
No, it's okay. You were saying the drawing it. And I think that going on that, what I think with that, drawing it or writing it, to me, that's why I like the scripting, because it engages, you know, that side of our brain, to where it's like, it actually, it brings it in faster. Like it's like there's a way where it's science, and I don't have all the science to back it up, but I know that there's different things that back up when you engage, you know, the creative side of the brain. Things come in, and it goes back, there's a common theme here around the kids, right? Like kids color, like it doesn't have to be perfect, just color. It's like, you know, and I know for me, if you asked me to like paint a picture of where I wanted to go, my perfectionism would probably take over.
Yes, totally.
But that's super, super helpful. That's really good. I've heard about the, you know, the classic NLP things, but I like you breaking it down. That's a beautiful, beautiful way, where it's like, if you are visual, visualize it. If you're audio, record it, listen to it every morning, listen to it back, and kinesthetic, write it, even draw it, you know, feel it.
Totally. That's even great. You know, if you're kinesthetic too, you can kind of like certain things like, I'll sit in front of my computer and I'll do a bit of visualization there, because I know I'm a very distracted visually person, like, sparkly things.
Yeah.
So I know that is a part of it too. So sometimes I'll sit in front of my computer and I'll open up my email, and then I'll close my eyes, and then I'll remember the email that I got X
Ooh.
amount of, you know what I mean?
I
So
like
it's
you see your bank statement and it's like green, $100,000, something
there
like
you
that.
go.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. That's
Yeah.
great, Lyndsay. Yeah, that's awesome. Oh my God, I'm so glad that you came on. I know that people are going to walk away with so much value. And then we'll definitely have you on again and we'll go over, because now I'm like so piqued about the workshop piece. So
Yay.
we'll have you on again and you can break that down, and then we'll link to where everybody can find you and especially join the Facebook group, and then hopefully, why not get a coach that's going to help you manifest whatever it is that you're wanting to create in 2019 and work
Yeah,
through those mindset, those limiting beliefs, Why not?
totally. Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me on. You are just such a beautiful soul, and I'm so, so grateful that we have re-met in this life, because I feel like you're one of my soul sisters too.
Yeah.
And you're doing beautiful, amazing things. And I am so, so very proud of you. Sky's the limit for you. Totally.
Well, I feel
Totally.
the same way. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Oh my gosh. Did you love that conversation as much as I did? I mean, Lyndsay, she's just this wealth of information and she gives so much value. There's so much generosity that comes from sitting down with her. And I'm so, so grateful that she was able to share this with all of you. And now we'd love to hear from you. What are the insights? What are your takeaways? What are you wanting to manifest in your life? Because I stand by something I said in the conversation. We're either the victim or we're the creator. There's really no in between. So when we're the victim, we're in those old stories. We're living in the past. And I think we need to heal those, work through those, but it's all for the purpose of creating a life that we want, right? So if something's not working, that's the beauty of being human, is we get to sort of recalibrate, fix it, and move forward. And so a lot of the things that Lyndsay shared are super easy to like incorporate in our everyday life. And so I'd love to hear, like, what are your insights? What are your takeaways? And then most importantly, after you do this, maybe for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, heck, 10 days, what shifted? What did you see? Please, like, let Lyndsay know, let me know, because this is why, I want to do these conversations. I want to have these conversations for you to apply these and to start living a life that's full of intention and impact and meaning, right? So let us know. Thank you, thank you, thank you for joining us. Share this. If you liked it and you found value, like, we all go together. Share it with a friend. Share it with a loved one. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And I will see you next time, friend.